Alright, everybody, welcome back to CC1 in the black and white tile set. It has been a couple of days since I've last recorded. Actually, by a couple of days, I mean it's been like probably over 10 or so days now. A lot of stuff happened that I just had to tend to, so I apologize for the delay, but here we are. This is part 2 of the black and white CC1. Picking up where we left off on chips, which shouldn't be unreasonable. Ooh, got that snatch without even trying. Nice. Okay. This level's pretty cool. I mean, by pretty cool, I mean it's pretty mediocre, but I like it. You know, it's not the worst level. I'm reminded that in the past I did a CC1 level tier list video. It was like an hour and 40 minutes or something. Oh, I'm gonna wait for that. Ooh, just barely made that, and I'm missing one, which is by the tooth cloner button. I have to consult that and see, just to see how accurate these those ratings are to how I feel nowadays. So that might be something I do after this is over, but we shall see. Alright, go with the flow is next. I kind of forgot to comment on how the force floors look. The force floors are pretty cool looking. Alright, one more block and we will have those amazing flippers. You ever wonder how many pairs of boots the thief has stolen over the course of your play history? Okay, I totally missed that. Okay, there we go. Now just to get the chip behind the water. So this level template was used for Warmonger in Walls of CC1, which is VT's level. And I gotta say, I think Go With The Flow was a template I got the timing. Cool. That I kind of wanted to use, but VT got his hands on it, unfortunately, which is, you know, good. I think Warmonger was a pretty okay level. Took me a while to figure out the trick, but pretty cool stuff. Alright, ping pong. I haven't died, have I? I don't think I've died. Ooh, I almost died there. Water in the floor is something that is, I can tell you right now, is going to be a problem. By the way, I feel obligated to mention that I am using a new camera. I bought a slightly higher end a slightly higher end webcam for these videos, so hopefully it looks good. There was nothing wrong with the one I had. It's just my brother also streams and does YouTube stuff and has a webcam of his own. And something happened with his. I think it just finally gave up on life. And so I lent him the one I was using because I took like a 10 or 12 day break from recording, which I will talk about here in a little bit. But I just decided to get, as it was an opportunity just to give it to him, and that'd give me reason to buy a slightly higher end version. I think this one I'm using now was like $60. I have the box right here on the side table, but I don't feel like I don't feel like checking it out. I don't think it's really important information to really give out anyways. But here we are on Arctic Flow next, and this was a wall template I used for the level Mute in Walls of CC1. And there's bits and pieces of it that I like and dislike respectively, but I think the CCLP6 submission I plan on submitting is gonna kind of stray away from the wall pattern. Trying to tell myself, you know, sticking with the wall layout for the project it's in is important, but I think once you take it out of that context into a separate set you plan on submitting for CCLP6 or whatever, I think that constitutes what's the word I'm looking for? It constitutes making, you know, taking liberties away from the walls of context. In the case of the Mute, I basically got rid of the top sections and centered it. There's this big section at the top where you start in this level, so this one up here, that was just filled with thieves and like a chip under block puzzle for a couple of times. I never liked that about Mute, so I removed it and focused on the parts I did like the teleport puzzle, the various monster dodging challenges and stuff. Pretty cool. Okay, Mishmash. Blue walls and black and white is something else, man. And after all these years, I still don't know the path in this level. Yeah, I like Mishmash. Mishmash is a fun level, even today, at least for me. I know that's a very Joshy statement, but it's got dead ends. It sticks to a cool pattern, and I don't know. In some ways, I think it's better than Chip Mine, which is all blue walls. Which for the longest time I've preferred Chip Mine over Mishmash, but I am becoming a Mishmash enjoyer. So I'm hoping in this video I can get to level 50, which is dig dirt. But that's gonna be a tall ask because I know a couple levels in the 30s decade are pretty lengthy. This level included. But, you know, it's not CC1 without some lengthy tedium levels, because that's what difficulty hinged on back in the day. Was, oh, it's not really difficult, it's just long, and if you mess up, then yeah, it feels difficult. And I gotta be honest, I really dig this black and white, like, checkerboard thing. So I've been doing some thinking with this black and white venture. Assuming things in life lighten up a bit, which I'm hoping they will here soon. I am absolutely intending on doing this with all the CCLPs as well. This black and white adventure. Call me crazy, but I think it would be a lot of fun, at least to go through. I'm not sure how much fun it really is to watch these. It's always hard to tell when you're the one making the video. Alright, that was a lot of zigzagging. Oh, did I miss a path down here? I did miss a path. Yeah, I know for sure that's the end of that path. Alright, 2 chips left. They should both be right here, yes. And there we go. And I distinctly remember the path to the exit is kind of weaves through like this. Alright, Mishmesh is complete. Good stuff. Alright, not. Oh, this is a quick little level. I could see myself running out of time on this just because of the gameplay speed. And I am not really taking the right path at all. Alright, 4 seconds left. That's good. Alright, scavenger hunt is next. Oh boy, this is gonna be tricky to navigate. I didn't really comment on how the thin walls looked, but I mean, they don't look really different. It's just they're darker. And there's really isn't that many early on in CC1. Like there's the 2 you see in Lesson 7. There's like the border of Trinity, the border of Castle Moat, And I think that's it. There might be one in Tossed Salad. There's a couple in Blink, I know that. I can't believe I'm sitting here playing a thin wall level, figuring out what levels I played thus far have thin walls in them. How sad am I? But hey, it gives you viewers something to do while I'm listing them off, because you can easily pull up an editor and find out if I'm right or wrong. I'm thinking in my head still. I don't think there's any more. Okay, I have no idea if I'm even taking the right path or not. This level was really dumb for Walls of CC1, man. There were so many things planned for this level. Well, first things first, I didn't originally have this template. I think it was VT's. Before he had to dip out from the project and focus on his life stuff. Okay, I think... No, that's the dead end. And then when he did dip out, I ended up getting this template. Probably because JB didn't want it, which I don't blame him. It went through a few different phases, and by a few I mean just two. Because in CC1 you obviously can't reuse thin walls the way you could in CC2. Like, I tried a couple of different ideas of just strictly keeping the walls, getting rid of all the thin walls and stuff. But that doesn't really become a really fun pattern to work with. Do I want to go this way? No, sir. But I kind of determined that this little starting point, this little arch thing, that had to be like the centerpiece of the level that I did end up making, which is Dimensional Rift. And what I did was I just took this, you know, what we're going through right now, this maze, and just drew over it, made a level over it, and kept the actual walls. And kind of focused on just that center structure, and then just made a weirdly open walker guiding level. I say weirdly open because it feels like it's very closed and like specific, but actually I feel like there's quite a bit of leniency. So, needless to say, not the best wall pattern for that set, but it is what it is. Alright, on the rocks. Alright, this is going to take a hot second, because we're just going to be doing this for quite a while. And I worry that the combination of the ice boosting and the slight delay of the inputs is going to lead to a decent amount of deaths. Now on the rocks, on the other hand, when it comes to the walls I've set, I was pretty satisfied with what I came up with it. So what I did was I replaced all the water with fake blue walls, and I, kept the little, where the cloners are, those little notches, I kept those, and I put trap buttons there, and kind of did the something similar like Dimensional Rift. It's just an open, like, melee level, except that one has there's not really any guidance necessary. Okay, so which way are we going? I guess we can go up there. I'm not a big fan of this loop I have. Let's try to make a fancier, quicker... Yeah, there we go. I also gotta get that chip behind this cloner, which I always thought was like the coolest thing ever. Feels like you're lost at the Great White Sea. Okay, I guess we can do... Actually, I used to do a little trick. Which is probably a well-established method to get that chip, but I'm still going to do it. Alright, fill that in. And do this. There we go. Cool stuff. And now I can do the same thing like this. I already got that chip. Okay. In that case, let's venture upwards. This away. And get that chip. I was pleasantly surprised with the reception this project has received. Okay, we'll just do it that way. Sure, we'll do that. It feels good to have provided a surprise for people. And I knew no one was going to figure it out ahead of time, because it's like, why would anyone think someone would do something stupid like this, playing this game in a questionable tile set. But you know what? I'm having a fun time with this. It's a good reason or good excuse to go, to have a reason to play CC1 again, because I think it was Martin that commented on the last video that CC1 is the only official set I never really did anything video. Like I've never made a CC1 Let's Play, even on the old channel. That was like the only set I didn't do. And I guess you can argue CCLP5 is, you know, I'm not doing that either, but you know, maybe one day that will change. I'm not sure why I'm bridging up to the cloner this way. Oh, so I can turn it around like right here. And honestly, I think it's time I went through all the official sets again. Because if you think about it, CC1, as we've already established, you know, I never Let's Played this in the past, so this fixes that. The CCLP1 Let's Play that I did, I kind of regret. There's a lot of aspects about that Let's Play that I undeniably regret. Like, I was very crude and vulgar in that Let's Play. I distinctly remember that. And, you know, I try to go for I try not to swear in these videos. I know I don't have to. I know we're all adults and stuff, and it's like, you know, I do it all the time. But just from a video perspective, I don't want to really set that kind of tone or attitude. So I try to not swear in these videos. Call me a professional, I guess, but so replaying CC1, and not just like replaying it to kind of fix the whole problem I had with it the first time, but I played it in links. That Let's Play was in links, so I'd be playing it in MS, which, you know, I guess woohoo. I kind of want to keep bridging down this column. CCLP2 was the very first CC Let's Play I've ever done. So replaying that and kind of redoing that playthrough, you know, definitely has some merit to it. Or maybe one of these days I can go through like a history of like that CCLP2 Let's Play, like kind of watch some videos back and record myself watching them. like a react thing, I guess. But honestly, I was pretty cringe in that Let's Play. I think I can say that about a lot of my first Let's Plays in CC. You know, the BHLS1 Let's Play, the Big Auto 2 Let's Play. And then after that was done, that's when I kind of started having these technical issues and, you know, life circumstances just prevented me from recording. And so I had a lot of abrupt Let's Plays, like Look at This, or 60 Minutes as it's now called, Rock Beta, the original CCLP3 Let's Play. That time in my life was very rough, and those Let's Plays definitely suffered from that time period of my life. The CCLP3 one was honestly probably the saddest case. Like, I was devastated when I when I saw that my CCLP3 save was just erased. I don't, because it happened in MSCC. I remember it having like a purple background and fancy colored digits, which is definitely a thing I can take advantage of. I think we're heading straight for a wall. So where are these other two chips? I'm on the right edge. So there's no more to the right of me. They gotta be in the middle. Yeah, the CCLP3, the very original one, which I don't even think is public on YouTube anymore. I think I hid that indefinitely. But the reason that ended abruptly was because the save file got messed up.
Bummer.
Oh no. Oh no. I gotta do that all over again. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen, man. I knew that was gonna happen. Oh man. Well, that is death number 5, ladies and gentlemen. You do not have to see me get back to that point. I will just do something. Oh, well, there's number 6. At least that was early on. Oh boy. That was a MSCC delay death. I knew that was going to happen at some point. That's number 7. Okay. I think these are the 2 chips I missed. There was one right here, and then the one I'm now attempting to collect. Yep. I think those were the 2 I was missing. Is there even anything down this path? Nope. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is head that way. And then just put one down there. Okay, so we can go this way next. Just being careful with my inputs. The last thing I want to do is die again. Because otherwise, level 50 is not happening in this video, that's for sure. Not that I'm worried about the length of the video, just my mental sanity. I mean, how many times can a guy really replay on the rocks, you know? I can't believe someone, I think that, I don't remember who designed this level, but whoever made it, I can't believe they thought this was going to be a fun level to play. Alright. Alright, one chip left, and I think it's just straight down this path. I mean, I guess you can say the exploration aspect of it is, I guess, kind of cool. But this didn't age very well, man. I mean, that kind of experience is only fun the very first time you play it, but I guess that's really any video game, really. Sometimes you can recreate the first experience if you give it enough time. And that is every chip collected. So now I just need to head for up there, which I need 4 blocks to do. I feel like I was much more thorough this time. I was kind of careless with where I was bridging. Alright, just be careful. If you thought that last death, or that 4th or 5th death was bad, just imagine if it happened now. Alright, one more block. Can it be done? You bet it can. Finally done with that. Get me out of that horrendous ocean. And let me read a letter. Cipher. Cipher was a fun wall pattern. But honestly, nothing will ever top what Joshua Bone did with Cipher in his Walls of CC1 set. Relics of a Lost Age is an incredible level in every sense. I mean, even if it didn't retain the passwords in this, it still would have been cool, just concept-wise. But the fact that it was built over the Cipher template, just 10 out of 10. And I like what I made out of it. I kind of made it a variety level. Alright, Cipher is completed. Alright, Lemmings is next. Which, fun fact, apparently this level is not solvable in the GBA port of Chip's Challenge that costs like $50. If you're watching this, man, you're doing people dirty. Alright, let's move the block right there. I'm gonna grab another one. So Lemmings was a wall template I also used, and the very first thing I made out of Lemmings was a level called Dirt Simple. It was intended to be a very easy level themed around dirt. Ooh, buddy, you got out of the cage. And it was pretty lackluster. I wasn't really happy with it. I tried to redesign it a couple of times, but It just didn't work out that way. Okay, I think we're fine. Up. Also, fireballs look really cool in this tile set. Alright, we are still in danger. This is not good. Okay, we gotta... I haven't had an experience like this in this level for quite a while. Okay, how on earth are we gonna do this? Alright, let's do that. Actually get them all out of here. I can tell you with 100% certainty, I have never pushed blocks that far into lemmings in my life. That was the first time I've ever solved this level like that. Insane. Alright, ladder. But yeah, I was making a level called Dirt Simple. I didn't like it, so I instead made a level that focused on the outside exterior of lemmings, because lemmings just focused on the inside part. A ladder was not one of my templates, that was one of JB's. And from what I remember him telling me, it was a pretty awkward layout to work with as well, just because it's pretty heavy on like long empty corridors. Okay, the start of this trap section. Love the progression of that trap puzzle stuff. Not sure if it needed to be done twice, but I think this one's shorter. Alright. And with that, we can exit the level. Yeah, ladder's pretty... It's pretty okay. You get through it. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. Hey, there's a thin wall there. We can add that to the levels with thin walls on them. Seeing stars, because we haven't had enough block pushing today. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of want to get this bottom section done, because I think this bottom part takes the longest. Yeah, not too much is, not much to say. I guess I could talk about, like the length, how long, you've all been waiting for a new video from me. I do plan on recording a Joshi episode right after this one, just because I feel like there's much more fun to be had with Joshi than there is in black and white CC1. And this set's more, both these playthroughs I'm doing, are geared to be, just chill, have something on in the background kind of videos. And if it does something for you, then I could not ask for anything more. But I feel like of the two, I think this one's something, that you don't have to watch, like nothing too crazy's happening here. And I'll be sure to, to kind of talk about similar things and in both the series, Sorry, I'm slurring my words a lot tonight. But the biggest reason why I haven't recorded is there's just been a lot going on behind the scenes. For starters, I got one of my teeth extracted, and that put me out of commission for a couple days. And I should mention I have tried to record a good amount of times, but something just kept coming up. And not too long after my tooth extraction, right around the time I was starting to feel better, I can go back to eating normally and stuff. It was my mom's turn to get surgery. She, it's not funny, but it's just the timing is insane. And it's not even over at that point. But she had gallbladder surgery. It had to be removed immediately. A little bit of a scare, but it all went well, and she has been getting plenty of rest since then. And then literally 2 days after that, my mom's Chihuahua dog also had to get emergency surgery. For the sake of not really being too detailed, it was something to do with her behind. But she's also healing and doing better as well. So they all went well in the grand scheme of things. It was just, you're 2 weeks into the year, and you already have 3 instances of surgery in the house. It's insane. The frequency is just incredible. Okay, well, thankfully this isn't as tedious as on the rocks. I don't think there's really any contest. But I think this allows me to take this block all the way to the back of the level. And get these last 2 chips I left here. Right? No? Where am I missing a path at? Oh my god. I completely didn't see that because of the black and white, by the way. Wow, I hope no one's screaming at the screen. You idiot. You missed 2 chips. You filled the water and didn't even collect the chips. That's funny. Alright, sampler. This is going to be a true test of my key coloring abilities. Alright, 3 dots. I can get the suction boots. The boots are easy. Alright, remember you're the bug. Get out of there just in time. That's a 2-dot key I got, so... That is this guy right here. Now we have a 1-dot. Fire... Fire, yeah, fire was the tank. Okay, and then teeth was the this one. I always like the fact that in this room you can just kill the tooth monster. I've always done that every time I played this level. Alright, sampler is done. Glut. Can I get away with this?
Bummer.
You had to try. You had to try it once. Okay, let's just go to the center. Alright, cool. Got a bolt time. There you go, optimizers. Alright, floor gasborg is next.
Bummer.
And that is another death on the count. Alright. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. And also, I don't think that's a bolt time. I think bolt is like 194 or something. Simple level. I had floor gasborg as a wall template, and I don't care for that. I don't care for what I made it for. I think it's my weakest level in walls of CC1, to be honest. Alright, ICU. Really funky wall pattern, I gotta say. Alright. Right. Down, and then left up, or no, up left. Yeah. I like what JB made out of this wall pattern. I think he definitely used the template as best as he could. Alright, left, or now to start the Lulu phase. I've always liked that there's just a random blob out in the center just wandering around. Like the developers, they could have easily just left that blank with nothing in there, just make you wonder. But they said, nah, let's put a cool little blob in there. Sometimes you'll see him, sometimes you won't. But if you see him, hey, he's a cool little dude to see. Alright, and that is ICU completed. Beware of bug. Okay, I think this is a paramecium first. Ooh, I really need to get a more comfortable chair. Because the way this chair is, it's like way back here. So if I lean back, it leans back all the way back like that. So I have to like make myself sit forward like this. And after a while, it starts hurting my back. But can use the opportunities to stretch it out while we're waiting. I think I could have made that run for the chip, but I couldn't remember which one it was. Okay, I know here you have to wait for the glider. And then this next one I think is where you wait for the paramecia. Kind of wish this level had just bugs and paramecia. I think it would have been a lot better if it was just bugs and paramecia. Like have the glider there just so the last paramecia doesn't drown. But kind of an uninspired level if I'm being honest. And I think I made a sequel to this in Josh L 1, or Josh L as it was called before I started numbering the series. JB also used this wall template, and I think what he did was amazing. I never would have done something like what he did. I think he made Santa's Workshop out of it. Fantastic level. Takes a bit to parse, but once you figure it out, man, it is satisfying. Alright, that is completed. Lock block. Another little quick level. Thankfully, the 40s decade is a lot more reasonable. I think the most tedious level in the 40s decade might be... Ooh, what would that be? That's a good question. Well, the lock block definitely isn't. I think lock block is the best level in this decade. Got the good timing section there. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking what the most tedious level is in this decade. I want to say it's between Refraction and Pier 7 for me. I mean, I guess there's an argument for Beware of Bug, but it is just a path you have to follow. But, yeah, I think Refraction would probably be my choice of most tedious level in this decade. And just remember, folks, I made a sequel to this, and I've already played it in Joshi, thankfully. Alright. So hopefully you all are doing well. I'm like an hour into recording, and I'm just now saying that. Oh boy. Yeah, when it comes to the future in this black and white series, I guess we're going to be doing, I am definitely open to color choices for the time limit for those sets. So like for the rest of the CC1, I'm just going to keep the black and white digits on the side just because, you know, consistency. And we can just leave CC1 as that color. But if we are cool with black and white for all the other CCLPs after this, then I am perfectly fine with keeping that. But if you guys want like a different color for CCLP1 or whatever, definitely let me know. Because CC1's not going to last that long. I am starting to question if 25 levels of video is reasonable, but alright, we'll just hang out here. Yeah, even though the sequel I made to this took up the whole map, it still felt quicker than this one does. I think it's just the fact that the blue buttons are only in reverse sections or reverse polarities. Like, there's no tank buttons in this room, but there are on the bottom, and you have to flip the tanks like 4 times. Also, pretty low time limit, too. I'm just gonna wait for these balls. I don't know where they are. Alright, we are out of refraction. That was boring as heck. Alright, Monster Lab. I know this has a super fun bus to it, and I am not going to do it because it is not exactly recording friendly. I forget what boots I want. Do I want the suction boots? Okay. Reverse that. Oh yeah, you definitely need them all. I'm gonna go up here first because I distinctly remember there is a cook possibility in that corridor with the force floors. For a second there, I thought that was going to happen. That would have been funny if it did. Okay. Alright, get to the exit nice and safely. Perfect. You know what, just for fun, I will add the death to the count for this.
Bummer.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how the bold works. I think I've tried it a couple of times. I think I got 1 second short of the bold, which pissed me off. Alright, 3 doors. Three doors is a pretty cool level. I know it's busted, and I could just do the bust, but I kind of want to do all these the intended way. Alright, 3 doors is done. Pure 7, okay, how tedious is this level? I gotta remember what spot you have to push the blocks up. I think it's this one. Three doors was a template I also had in, well, it's a CC1. I'm not, it's kind of the same thing as the Lemmings level, not the Lemmings level, the Floor Gasborg level. I was just never big on that, on it. What I did with Pure 7, on the other hand, is a little bit more interesting. I did a tile swap. Because, I mean, what can you do with pre-existing ice in specific spots? I mean, I guess I could have made some kind of cool thin wall maze, but I don't think the ice would have really made much of a impact on the level, so... Anyway, there's Pier 7 done. Mugger Square. Fire is pretty cool. Whoa, I narrowly dodged that ball. Fire is pretty cool in Black and White, I gotta say, and Forest Floors. Alright, Problems is next. Used to play this level all the time as a kid. I just loved the sequence of this, and it's a shame it doesn't work right in MSCC. So we are basically home free because that thing will never release. Thank you, Microsoft. Alright. And lastly, for the evening, dig dirt. I've just been following a path this whole time and have not been in any danger. Wow, okay. Cool way to solve it, I guess. I don't think I've ever solved it like that before. Or maybe I have. I don't remember. But that will be it for me with CC1 Black and White tonight, guys. Got our first decade message, which you guys can't see, but did get it. Picking up chips is what the challenge is all about, but on the ice, Chip gets chapped and feels like a chump instead of a champ. That brings us to Ice Slide, which will be happening in the next video. So we'll probably do, like, I guess we'll try to see if I can get to level 75 in the next video. If I can't, I won't force it like I did tonight. Probably a big mistake because I can definitely feel it in my back, and it has impacted my commentary abilities. So I do apologize if the last couple of levels were kind of lackluster in terms of what I was talking about. But the gist of it is, expect this kind of thing to happen with the other CCLPs in the future. I think it'll be fun to go through and kind of redeem myself for the first 3 CCLP Let's Plays I did on the old channel. CCLP 4s will probably be about the same, because I think CCLP 4's Let's Play wasn't that bad. But it's been a while since I played CCLP 4, so that'd be fun to go through again. But we'll get there when we get there, and I thank you all for watching. If you did, or if you listened, whichever you did, I appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next episode. See you later. We're at 10 deaths and 50 levels in. That's crazy.